Chapter 41. 41 Monster Treasure Chest. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 41 Monster Treasure Chest. After that, Suyu did not think too much about it. He walked into the small wooden house and casually made some breakfast to eat. Then, he picked up the black iron fishing rod and walked towards the shoreline. Suyu had not tried to fish with the black iron fishing rod last night, so he was already a little impatient. There are mostly ordinary wooden treasure chests in this part of the sea. You are not recommended to cast a net or fish here. There are mostly an ordinary wooden treasure chests in this part of the sea. You are not recommended to cast a net or fish here. There are traces of wooden treasure chest 5 meters below the surface of the sea. You are recommended to fish here. After changing directions several times in a row, Suyu finally locked onto a fishing location with a wooden treasure chest. He hung the bait, swung the hook, and waited. Whoosh! About 10 minutes later, Suyu suddenly grabbed the fishing rod and pulled hard. Immediately, the fishing rod in his hand let out a whooshing sound. Ordinary monster treasure chest. Description: there is an ordinary merman hidden inside. Treasure chest trial. Kill the merman and you can obtain the treasure chest reward. Fishing technique. Strength produces miracles. Ordinary merman, strength. Physique. Spirit. Weapon. Spear skill. Merman's howl, skill details. A merman who is in danger can let out an ear-piercing scream that can be used to attack the enemy's spirit. The power of the skill depends on the spirit stats of both sides. Combat level. Ordinary rank 4, ordinary rank. Note: the merman race, ordinary merman, has a fish tail and a human body. They have strong combat strength in the water. However, their combat strength on land is greatly decreased. Their weakness is their head. Combat suggestion: be careful of the merman's sharp howls and spear. It is recommended to shoot from afar. With the black iron fishing rod in hand, Suyu did not need to pull at all. He could just pull it up with brute force. To be honest, Suyu was a little surprised when he saw the information about the treasure chest this time. This was the first time Suyu had encountered a monster treasure chest. Moreover, the monster this time was much stronger than the goblin. Suyu reached out and quickly touched the monster treasure chest that had been pulled ashore. Then, he chose to open it. When the monster treasure chest opened, Suyu was already a distance away from it. With a flash of white light, a merman with a fishtail and a human body appeared on the island. F***ck, it's so ugly. The merman and the sea monkey must be close relatives. Suyu felt a headache coming on as he looked at the merman with a sharp mouth and fangs. Then, without waiting for the confused merman to react, Suyu picked up his pistol and started to open fire. Bang, bang, bang. Suyu fired several shots in a row. As expected, with Suyu's current physique, he would not miss at such a close range. However, Suyu did not hit the merman's head. Because when the merman received the first bullet, it firmly protected its head with its hands and let out an ear-piercing howl. With the speed of sound transmission, Suyu was immediately attacked. However, as he was on his own island, Suyu's spirit stats were almost twice that of the merman, so this merman's sharp cry only made Suyu feel a little lightheaded. F***ck, other people are shouting for money, but you're shouting for my life. Suyu, who had regained his senses, did not hesitate to fire the bullet. Bang, bang, Suyu's every shot created a small bloody hole on the merman's body. However, the merman's physique was relatively strong. Before the vital parts of its body were hit, the power of the ordinary pistol in Suyu's hand would decrease sharply after piercing through the scales and high density muscles on its body. Buzz. The merman, who had almost gone crazy from the pain, had naturally locked onto the culprit who had been attacking it. Thus, this merman held the spear in one hand and threw it at Suyu. Suyu was constantly paying attention to the merman's movement, so he naturally could not be shot. Otherwise, if he was shot by this thing, even with Su Yu's physique, his body would definitely be pierced. At this moment, the merman who threw the spear lay on the ground and looked at Su Yu with a ferocious expression. Because he could not stand up on land, this merman could only lie down on its stomach. At this moment, without the spear in its hand, it was no different from a merman who had already used up all its skill. In Su Yu's eyes, it was no different from a fish waiting to be slaughtered. Then, holding the 100-forged Yenling saber, Su Yu sped up and rushed towards the merman. With the close distance between the two, the merman who was half lying on the ground did not even have time to react before its neck was slashed by Su Yu's saber. Seeing that the saber did not completely cut off the other party's neck, Su Yu suddenly jumped back and widened the distance, saving himself from being covered in blood. As for the merman, the ferocious expression on its face had already disappeared, replaced by the expression of daze and disbelief. Then, with a bang, the merman's body crumpled into the ground. Its blood flowed all over the ground. Ding! You have successfully killed a merman from the ordinary monster treasure chest. The treasure chest rewards you with an ordinary merman guard *1. Ding! Your double happiness skill has been triggered. You have obtained 2 ordinary merman guards. Ordinary merman guard, strength. Physique. Spirit. Loyalty. 100, loyal to death, it has been implanted with the ability to speak in the common language. Weapon. Spear. Skill. Merman's howl, skill details. A merman who is in danger can let out an ear-piercing scream that can be used to attack the enemy's spirit. The power of the skill depends on the spirit stats of both sides. Combat level. Ordinary rank 4, ordinary rank materials needed to upgrade to Elite Merman Guard. Ordinary Merman Bead *10, Elite Merman Blood *5 liters. After Su Yu killed it, the merman on the ground disappeared with a flash of white light, leaving only blood on the ground. It was the only indication that something had happened here. At the same time, 2 brawny mermen appeared in front of Su Yu, but they were both lying on their stomachs. The 2 of you, go to the sea first. Su Yu instructed after looking at the 2 mermen. Thank you, master. Hearing this order, joy appeared on the ferocious faces of the 2 merman guards. Then, the 2 merman guards quickly started to crawl with their arms on the ground. Plop. With 2 sounds of water splashing, 2 merman guards successfully jumped into the sea. Nom. Chapter 42. 42 Prohibited Operation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 42 Prohibited Operation. The 2 of you, dive into the water and circle the island. Then, report to me what you find underwater. At this moment, Su Yu, who had walked to the shoreline, gave this instruction to the 2 merman guards who had emerged from the water. Understood. The 2 merman guards received their master's orders and disappeared from the surface. To be honest, although Su Yu had the water-repelling pearl, he had never dived into the water. Now that he had 2 merman guards, Su Yu was naturally very curious about what was under the sea. About 10 minutes later, 2 merman guards appeared from the sea one after another. Master, there's a stone layer about 5 meters below the island. The entire island is floating on the water. The island is located on the shallow part of the sea with a depth of around 100 meters. The 2 merman guards who had just emerged from the water reported the situation they had seen below the sea to Su Yu. Wait, did you see any chests in the sea? Seeing that the 2 mermen did not mention anything about the chests, Su Yu asked in a deep voice. Chests, what chest? The 2 merman guards were clearly confused by Su Yu's question. Okay, so they can't see the treasure chests. Could it be that those things are still between illusion and reality? Or could it be that only specific people can see them, or that they can only be seen after being dragged ashore? The 2 of you stand by in the water. I'll go down and take a look. After thinking for a while, Su Yu prepared to dive into the water to take a look by himself. This was because the two merman guards had already investigated that the sea around them was only about 100 meters deep. With Su Yu's current physique and the water-repelling pearl, there was absolutely no problem for Su Yu could dive to the bottom of the sea. As for the sea monkeys, Su Yu had already killed 2 of them, so he was naturally not afraid of them. Then, Su Yu nimbly took off his clothes, leaving only a pair of shorts. He dove into the water. When Su Yu dived into the water, 2 merman guards stood on both sides of Su Yu a meter below the water. Damaged wooden treasure chest, description. It contains a tattered tent. Ordinary wooden treasure chest, description. It contains 500 milliliters of Sprout 1. Ordinary pet treasure chest, description. It contains a pet, snow rabbit. Ordinary servant chest, description. It contains 1 servant with initial loyalty of 60 points. As soon as Su Yu entered the water, he almost dazzled. This was because within Su Yu's vision, there were traces of treasure chests everywhere. However, these treasure chests seemed to have a life of their own. They were not fixed in one spot. Instead, they changed positions from time to time like a school of fish. Su Yu reached out and grabbed at the nearest ordinary wooden treasure chest. However, this ordinary wooden treasure chest actually dodged Su Yu's outstretched hand. It moved so fast underwater. Su Yu could not help but feel surprised at the fact that he could not grab the treasure chest. However, with Su Yu's stubborn temper, how could he tolerate the treasure chest slipping away? No, he couldn't. Therefore, Su Yu got into a fight with it. After about a minute or so, Su Yu finally caught a wooden treasure chest. Ding! The novice protection period has not ended. Illicit fishing of treasure chests is prohibited. Please let go of the treasure chest in your hand. If you persist, you will be punished. Just as Su Yu was feeling happy, a notification suddenly sounded in his ear, directly dispelling his thoughts. F***CK. Upon hearing the word punishment, Su Yu threw the wooden treasure chest in his hand as if it was hot iron. F***CK. Su Yu stretched out his hand and made a gesture with his middle finger. He was too lazy to continue diving. After all, he could not catch treasure chests by hand. He could only go up. Very quickly, Su Yu swam out of the water at an extremely fast speed. He grabbed the protruding rocks at the shoreline and used it to climb up the island. The 2 of you will guard the surroundings of the island. Report any abnormal movements right away. Am I understood? At this moment, Su Yu, who had already picked up the clothes on the ground, instructed the 2 merman guards in the water. Understood, master. The 2 merman guards quickly nodded. After Su Yu instructed the merman guards, he returned to the small wooden house and ate the remaining level 1 marrow cleansing pill. Gulp, gulp. As soon as he ate it, Su Yu's stomach began to react. It had to be said that this marrow cleansing pill was really an excellent pill to clear one's stomach. About 20 minutes after consuming the pill, Su Yu's calves trembled slightly. His face was slightly pale as he walked out of the toilet. Su Yu took the time to glance at his personal stats panel and realized that his basic strength and physique stats had already broken through to 8 points. As for his spirit stats, it was slightly weaker and had yet to break through to 5 points. After resting for a short while, Su Yu's face regained its color. Phew! Su Yu exhaled heavily and picked up the fishing rod again, preparing to continue fishing. After all, he could not catch those treasure chests in the water by diving. Su Yu could only continue to fish and use fishing nets to obtain treasure chests. At this moment, Su Yu, who was sitting on the chair, casually logged into the communication channel. There was no other way. Fishing alone was a little boring. He could not pull those goblins over to chat. Damn it, these days are getting harder and harder. There's nothing to eat or drink. There's no woman. I suggest jumping into the sea to commit suicide. However, remember to trade the supplies to me before you die so that they won't be wasted. After all, it's shameful to waste them. Get lost, get lost. Do you think the people from the other regions have the same experience as us? I think that every region should be about the same. The big shots in front are all living very comfortably. As for us, we feel that we're just accompanying the crown prince to study too. Why don't you just say that it's very difficult for us? Sigh. When Suyu entered the communication channel, he realized that the atmosphere in the communication channel was very depressed compared to 2 days ago. This was because when the use of the ordinary energy crystal was revealed to the public, many people were extremely excited. However, yesterday, reality had taught them that unless they were extremely lucky, the probability of catching this item was very low. Chapter 43. 43 Disposable Ordinary Soldier Altar. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 43 Disposable Ordinary Soldier Altar. That's right. I'm afraid that the monster in the sea will climb up and drag me into the sea when I sleep at night. Fortunately, even though the talent I developed is the trashiest grade F skill, I still stand a chance against a monster like the sea monkey. What if that thing acts in groups? F***ck, watch what you're saying. Suyu continued to scroll through the messages in the communication channel. He realized that many people were very worried about what would happen to them after the 7-day novice protection period. However, there was nothing Suyu could do about the current situation. He could only take it one step at a time. After exiting the communication channel, Suyu casually glanced at the sea near him. There are traces of black iron treasure chest 10 meters below the surface of the sea. You are unable to fish as you do not possess a bait. Suyu, who had gained insight about the black iron treasure chest, could not help but feel a little depressed. You can't make bricks without straw. However, at this moment, Suyu discovered something. Perhaps because his strength had increased by a lot, he could gain more insight. Previously, Suyu could only gain insight into the star level of the treasure chest 1 to 5 meters below the water. However, Suyu could not gain insight into the items in the treasure chest before the treasure chest took the bait. But now, after Suyu had taken the second level 1 marrow cleansing pill, he realized that not only could he gain insight into the star level of the treasure chests that was 1 to 5 meters underwater, but he could also directly gain insight into the items hidden inside the treasure chests. 3 meters below the surface of the sea, there are 5 wooden treasure chests, 3 wooden treasure chests, and 2 wooden treasure chests. They contain 1 ordinary energy crystal, 1 ordinary fishing rod upgrade blueprint, and 1 ordinary Shochuan saber. Anyway, in Suyu's vision, the information of the treasure chests in the sea was no longer floating on the surface of the sea like before. Instead, it was like a 3-dimensional world. Every treasure chest had its own location. There is a wooden treasure chest 5 meters below the surface of the sea. It contains a special item, a disposable ordinary soldier altar. Disposable ordinary soldier altar. Description. Users can invest ordinary energy crystals into the altar to activate it. The more ordinary energy crystals invested, the stronger the soldier that can be summoned. Up to 10 ordinary soldiers can be summoned at once. Note: you can invest up to 10 ordinary energy crystals. Before summoning the soldiers, you can enter a 5-word note to determine the general type of the soldiers. After using the altar once, it will be directly scrapped. F***ck, this is awesome. Suyu's eyes lit up when he saw the information regarding the treasure chest. Let's go. Suyu quickly baited the hook with improved bait and swung it towards the location of the special wooden treasure chest. BDNV. About 2 minutes later, the special wooden treasure chest in the sea finally took the bait that was dangling in front of it. Swoosh. Then, with a swoosh, the fishing rod in Suyu's hand was exaggeratedly pulled out of the water. This thing is much heavier than other ordinary wooden treasure chests. As he dragged the fishing rod, Suyu discovered this special treasure chest was indeed a special treasure chest. Fortunately, the fishing rod in Suyu's hand had already been upgraded to the level of a black iron fishing rod. Otherwise, there was really a risk of the fishing rod breaking. Under Su Yu's violent tugging, the disposable ordinary soldier altar hidden inside the special treasure chest was quickly dragged ashore by Su Yu. Ding! Your double happiness skill has automatically been triggered. You have obtained disposable ordinary soldier altar *2. When Su Yu opened the treasure chest, two simple altars that were about a meter wide and tall appeared in front of him. After seeing this thing, Su Yu hurriedly rushed into the small wooden house and took out 20 ordinary energy crystals. Then, he quickly returned to the altar. Looking at the cavity on the altar, Su Yu stuffed 10 ordinary energy crystals inside. Ding! Disposable ordinary soldier altar has been replenished with energy sources. Please enter a note that does not exceed 5 words to confirm the direction of the summoning. Has no need for food. After hearing this notification, Su Yu quickly typed a message. Ding! The summoning is in process. Please wait. Ding! Successfully summoned undead race, ordinary broadsword skeleton *10. After the notification sounded, Su Yu saw the altar that had been stuffed with energy crystals emit a dazzling white light. Then, a group of tall skeletons appeared from the white light. Ordinary broadsword skeleton, strength. Physique. Spirit. Weapons. Normal broadsword. Skill. None. Overall combat rating. Ordinary rank 4. Description. A type of skeleton that is slightly stronger than the ordinary skeleton. It belongs to the lowest level of the undead race. After it is summoned, it is 100% under the control of the summoner. Highest upgrade potential Black Iron Elite Skeleton. Upgrade materials. Ordinary White Soul Fire *10, Green Soul Fire *1. After the white light dissipated, the disposable ordinary soldier summoning altar turned into a pile of rubble. At the same time, the stats of the ordinary broadsword skeleton appeared in front of Su Yu. At the same time, the 10 ordinary broadsword skeletons knelt on one knee and lowered their heads respectfully to Su Yu. There's one who can advance to silver potential. This is top. Grade. Glancing at the 10 ordinary broadsword skeletons kneeling on the ground, Su Yu finally realized that one of them was a little different. As for the stats of the other 9, they were all about the same. The highest advancement potential was the Black Iron Elite Skeleton. However, the last one was a little different. Not only were his basic attributes higher than the other 9 ordinary broadsword skeletons, but his advancement potential was also far ahead. Ordinary broadsword skeleton, strength. Physique. Spirit. Weapons. Normal broadsword. Skill. Chaotic Cape Saber technique. Overall combat rating. Ordinary rank 7, ordinary rank. Description. A type of skeleton that is slightly stronger than the ordinary skeleton. It belongs to the lowest level of the undead race. Its potential is extremely outstanding among the broadsword skeletons. Highest upgrade potential. Silver Skeleton General. Materials needed to upgrade to Black Iron level. Ordinary White Soul Fire *10, Green Soul Fire *1. Going forward, you will be their captain. Su Yu looked at the 10 broadsword skeletons kneeling on the ground and pointed. The broadsword skeleton, who had the potential to advance to the silver level, spoke in a low voice. Chapter 44. 44 Rank 1 Prosperity Points Treasure Chest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 44 Rank 1 Prosperity Points Treasure Chest. The other 9 broadsword skeletons expressed their submission to the captain appointed by Su Yu. However, at this level, the skeletons were still unable to communicate with Su Yu. At the moment, their intelligence was still low. They might only have the ability to communicate with Su Yu directly after they advanced to a certain level. However, this did not hinder Su Yu from giving them orders. The few of you, come over and find a place for them. Su Yu shouted at the few goblins who were carefully looking over at a nearby distance. Upon hearing their master's instructions, the goblins immediately ran over with their short legs. Then, they carefully took the 10 skeleton brothers to their residence. After helping the 10 broadsword skeletons to settle down, Suyu set his sight on the other disposable soldier summoning altar. After stuffing in 10 ordinary energy crystals, Suyu still input the word has no need for food. There was no other way. If the conditions allowed it, Suyu also wanted to choose other types of soldiers. However, at the moment, the island was only so big. If he really summoned those soldiers who still needed to eat, drink, poop, and sleep, Suyu would really have a headache. Comparing these factors, Suyu felt that the undead race was really suitable. Although their intelligence was a little low in the early stages, he did not need to pay them much care. Firstly, they did not need to sleep, and secondly, they did not need to eat, drink, and poop. It was simply perfect. Ding. The summoning is in process. Please wait, ding. You have successfully summoned the corpse race. Ordinary bandaged mummy *10. Ordinary bandaged mummy, strength. Physique. Spirit. Weapons. White bandage. Overall combat rating. Ordinary rank 5. Description. The mummies are the most lowly existence among the corpse race. After it is summoned, it is 100% under the control of the summoner. Highest upgrade potential. Black Iron Elite Mummy. Upgrade materials. Ordinary White Mummy Bandage *10, Elite Mummy Bandage *1. Am I going to walk the path of the Undead Lord after this? After glancing at the 10 tall ordinary bandaged mummy in front of him, Suyu could not help but have this strange thought. After shaking off this thought in his mind, Suyu scanned the attributes of the 10 mummies. However, Suyu's luck this time was not as good as the previous time. The highest upgrade potential of these 10 ordinary mummies was Black Iron Elite Mummies. None of them had particularly outstanding potential. Suyu did not feel disappointed about this. After all, he couldn't possibly get all the good things in the world. After thinking for a while, Suyu casually pointed at a bandaged mummy and said, "You will be the captain from now on." The bandaged mummy that Suyu had pointed out nodded mechanically. Just like the broadsword skeleton, these bandaged mummies could understand Suyu's orders, but they could not communicate with him. However, Suyu did not care about this. After all, they were all the lowest level soldiers. How could he care so much? Suyu glanced at the goblins who had already arranged the 10 broadsword skeletons outside the thorn fence and shouted, "Come over again and help them settle down." At this moment, the goblins felt bitter. With so many big brothers on the island, how could they not feel pressured? Although they were all servants who were loyal to Suyu, the goblins were considered intelligent creatures. Therefore, they still had their own thoughts. Fortunately, the few goblins had already discovered that these powerful big brothers did not seem to know how to speak. The goblins could not help but heave a sigh of relief. This meant that they were not completely worthless to their master for the time being. When the goblins left with the 10 mummies, another notification sounded in Suyu's ears. Ding! Congratulations on exceeding 1,000 prosperity points. You have obtained a prosperity points treasure chest. Please accept it. There's such a good thing. The moment he heard the notification, Suyu chose to accept the reward. After all, it would be a waste not to accept a treasure chest that was given for free. Rank 1 Prosperity Points Treasure Chest. Description. It contains construction tools, a 100 square meters 2-story villa, including furniture. 100 square meters, 2-story villa, prop, description. A small villa prop. After choosing the place to place it, the ratio will be magnified to 100 square meters. I can finally sleep on a bed. After seeing the items in the Prosperity Points treasure chest, this idea popped up in Suyu's mind. However, Suyu felt a headache coming on again. He now had to demolish the wooden house. Otherwise, there would be nowhere to place the villa. There were also 2 cars to consider, so he had to move them. Moreover, this thorn fence is also already built. This seems to be my own fault. Suyu glanced at the thorn fence and was speechless. However, since it had stopped the development, it had to be demolished. All of you, come here. Looking at the thorn fence, Suyu shouted in a deep voice. Immediately, the bandaged mummies crawled out of the ground beside the thorn fence. Then, the broadsword skeletons crawled up from the ground as well. As for the goblins, they immediately ran over when they heard their masters shout. Destroy this fence. Seeing that everyone was here, Suyu pointed at the thorn fence. The goblins, mummies, and broadsword skeleton, who had received the order, quickly moved. Dismantling this thing was too easy for these undead creatures, because the thorns on it had no effect on them at all. In any case, the thorn fence that Suyu had built did not last long in their hands before it was all torn down. The dismantled thorns were then all piled up in a corner of the island. After all, they could still be used as firewood. After dismantling the fence, it was time to demolish the wooden house. After a while, the place where Suyu had built the wooden house was empty again. The treasure chests inside had also all been moved to another place. Ding! Your double happiness skill has automatically been triggered. You have obtained 100 square meters of 2-story villa, prop, *2. After Suyu opened the island's prosperity points reward treasure chest, 2 villa models that looked like Lego blocks appeared in front of him. Do you want to place the villa here? Please move 10 meters away from the place as soon as possible after confirming it. After Suyu silently confirmed the location, a warning bell sounded in his ears, telling him to move away. Upon hearing this voice, Suyu ran away. Otherwise, it would be ridiculous if he was crushed to death by the villa. Chapter 45. 45 Another uninhabited island. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 45 Another uninhabited island. Then, with a loud bang, a 2-story villa that covered an area of 100 square meters appeared at the location specified by Suyu. Looking at the small building in front of him, Suyu slowly walked forward, pushed open the door, and walked straight in. After strolling around the villa, Suyu realized that other than the fact that there was no water or electricity for the time being, the rest of the villa was much better compared to the small wooden house. After leaving the villa, Suyu instructed the few goblins to move all the treasure chests to an empty room in the villa. Then, he carried his fishing rod and prepared to go to the shoreline to fish. Suyu arranged the broadsword skeletons and the bandaged mummies around the villa to guard the perimeter of the small villa. At the same time, as Suyu's island's prosperity points broke through 1,000 points, most of the survivors in the region where Suyu was felt this way. They were here to survive. However, some people seemed to be here on a vacation. At this moment, Zhou Yi, who was ranked second, looked at his prosperity points that were still a little short of 100 points. He then looked at Suyu, who already had more than 1,000 prosperity points, and felt a little speechless. In the other communication channel, many people started chatting about Suyu. I think the big shot on the rankings must have gotten stuck in a bug and discovered a loophole. Otherwise, the accumulation speed of his island's prosperity points is too scary. Yesterday, it increased by 500, and today, it increased by 300. What's the point of saying so much? Even if it's a bug, will he tell you? Sigh, if I had a stronger skill from the beginning, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Brother, there are no useless skills, only useless people. Haven't you heard of this saying? Then what's the comparability between F grade and SSS. Grade skills? Suyu, who had not seen the communication channel at all, began to search for treasure chests with ordinary energy crystals. Originally, Suyu had plenty of energy crystals in his inventory. However, he had just consumed 20 crystals, so Suyu had to replenish his stock. There is an ordinary wooden treasure chest 5 meters below the surface of the sea. It contains an extremely sharp broadsword. There is a ordinary wooden treasure chest 5 meters below the surface of the sea. There are 8 ordinary energy crystals inside. In the end, Suyu could not find any wooden treasure chest that contained the ordinary energy crystals. He only found this wooden treasure chest. Hence, Suyu, who had settled for the next best thing, decisively chose to lower the hook. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a waste if this treasure chest ran away? Whoosh! 3 minutes later, after seeing the float sink, Suyu decisively chose to pull the rod. This wooden treasure chest was directly pulled out by Suyu and thrown onto the island. It did not have any resistance at all. Ding! Your double happiness skill has automatically been triggered. You have obtained 8 ordinary energy crystals *2. After putting away the energy crystal, the next thing Suyu wanted to fish or catch was the fragment of the treasure chest. After all, it was one of the ingredients needed to make the improved bait. After searching for a long while, Suyu's eyes felt a little sore. Only then did he manage to obtain a few fragments of the wooden treasure chest. Of course, during this process, Suyu also obtained many other items. However, they were either daily necessities or construction materials. Growl! Just as Suyu's stomach was protesting, 2 heads suddenly appeared in the seawater, interrupting Suyu's plan to cook. Master, we found an uninhabited island about 2 nautical miles away from the island in the northwest. The island is much smaller than the island under your feet. At this moment, the merman who had just emerged from the water quickly reported the situation to Suyu. Uninhabited island. Hearing the merman's report, Suyu's heart began to beat faster. Suyu, who had already tasted the sweetness of the heart of the island, naturally missed this thing very much. Are you sure it's an uninhabited island? Also, did you find any other creatures in the water? At this moment, Suyu was not overwhelmed by joy. Instead, he asked calmly. Master, that island is indeed an abandoned island without any trace of life. We've already investigated this carefully. In addition, we didn't find any other creatures in the nearby waters. There aren't even ordinary creatures. It's as if it's a dead sea. At this moment, the merman who reported to Suyu could not help but show a strange expression, as if he could not understand why there were no creatures in the water. There really aren't any creatures. That shouldn't be the case. What did those sea monkeys rely on to survive? It can't be that they don't need to eat, right? Could it be that they were teleported from another place on the same day we were teleported here? Suyu could not help but have this thought. Then, Suyu, who was feeling a little troubled, could not be bothered to think too much. After all, his insight skill was not at the level where he could clearly understand the specific origins of these sea monkeys. It would definitely be very difficult for Suyu to guess. Suyu instructed the 2 mermen in the water, the 2 of you, go to that uninhabited deserted island and bring back a very heavy yellow crystal in the center of the deserted island for me. Remember to return immediately after obtaining the crystal. Don't linger there, understand? Understood. The 2 mermen who understood their master's orders dived into the water again. This time, Suyu did not plan to go personally. Previously, Suyu had personally gone because he was afraid that the goblin's combat strength was too weak and something would easily go wrong. With the mermen's underwater combat strength, they could single-handedly kill the sea monkey. Suyu was naturally too lazy to run by himself. After about 17 to 18 minutes, the 2 mermen that Suyu had sent out appeared around the island again. Following 2 splashing sounds, 2 mermen climbed onto the island. One of them held a yellow crystal with both hands and sat on the back of another merman. As for the other merman, he supported himself with both hands and quickly crawled towards Suyu. The broadsword skeletons and bandaged mummies, who were waiting around the villa, were about to move when they were stopped by Suyu. We're on the same side. There's no need to attack. Hearing this, the broadsword skeletons and bandaged mummies fell into guarding state again. Chapter 46. 46 Level 3 Island. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 46 Level 3 Island. Master, I have retrieved the item. At this moment, one of the mermen respectfully handed the yellow crystal in his hand to Suyu. Level 1 Heart of the Island. Description. After the original master of the 105 square meters island died, the island automatically generated crystals. When used, it can increase the size of the island by 105 square meters. Not bad, well done. Take this food and share it. After Suyu received the heart of the island, he looked at the stats of the heart of the island in his hand and smiled. Thank you for your reward, master. The two mermen's gaze turned hungry when they heard the word food. Because there were no creatures in the sea that they could eat, they could only rely on Suyu to provide their food for the time being. Then, the two mermen quickly dragged a piece of meat that weighed more than 10 caddies back to the sea. As for Suyu, he looked at the heart of the island in his hand and decided to use it. Ding! Congratulations on leveling up your island to level 3. Island Prosperity Points plus 500. Special Reward. 1 level. Up Reward Treasure Chest. Please receive it as soon as possible. Suyu was very calm upon hearing about the reward treasure chest. After all, he had already received it when he reached level 2. Receive. Then, Suyu silently chose to receive the treasure chest. Level 3 Treasure Chest. Description. It contains a level 1 concentration pill. Level 1 concentration pill. Description. Refined through a secret technique. Ordinary people can gather their spirit and strengthen their spirit by eating it. Refining materials. Concentration grass *1, Millennium Yellow Essence *1. Note. The first ingestion level 1 concentration pill will give the strongest medicinal effect. In the second ingestion, the medicinal effect is halved. In the third ingestion, the effect is halved again. Afterwards, ingestion will no longer give an effect. Is this the same series of pills as the level 1 marrow cleansing pill? Looking at the items in the level 3 treasure chest, Suyu found it very difficult not to suspect that this was a series of pills. Ding! Your double happiness skill has been triggered. You have obtained level 1 concentration pills *2. Seeing the 2 jade bottles that appeared in his hands after opening the treasure chest, Suyu casually pulled out the stopper of a bottle and poured it into his mouth. Gulp. After consuming it, Suyu instantly felt that the pill that increased spirit made him feel better than the pill that increased physique and strength. At this moment, Suyu only felt a large clear and cool aura continuously washing over his brain. That feeling was very refreshing, and he felt like he was floating. The effect of this concentration pill lasted for about an hour on Suyu. After discovering that this thing did not have a side effect like the level 1 marrow cleansing pill, Suyu poured out the second concentration pill. This time, the effects of the soul concentration pill lasted for a shorter time on Suyu's body than it did the first time. This time, it lasted for about half an hour. After coming back to his senses from his floating state, Suyu thought of something and opened his personal stats panel. Level 3 Island Master, Island Area 406 square meters EXP to upgrade. 406/800 Name. Suyu. Age. 23 years old. Strength. 8.2 plus, 4.06, Physique. 8.6 plus, 4.06, Spirit. 8.8 plus, 4.06, Overall Combat Rating. Ordinary Rank 8, Black Iron Rank 1 Owned Servants. For low-level goblins, plus 20 Island Prosperity Points, 10 Bandaged Mummies, plus 150 Island Prosperity Points. Note. In parentheses are the stats added to the Island Master on his own island. The additional stats will not be effective after leaving his island. Island Prosperity Points. 2,250 points, Regional Ranking Number 1, 100 points for Small Villa, 20 points for Goblin, 30 points for saplings, 40 points for fertile soil, 20 points for man-eating flowers, skills. SSS grade insight skill, unknown grade skill, double happiness, can be upgraded. Regional communication channel, regional trading channel, regional prosperity points list. After glancing at his personal stats panel, Suyu turned it off with a thought. Compared to before, there were not many changes. Only the level of the island had increased, his basic attributes had increased by slightly, and his island's prosperity points had increased slightly. These were all normal. Growl. Just as Suyu was about to think of something, his stomach could not help but protest again. F***ck, I've only been eating pills. I haven't eaten anything yet. Thinking of this, Suyu suppressed his hunger. First, he went to the villa and made some instant food to fill his stomach. Then, he began his daily work of roasting meat. After today's ordeal, the day was almost over. Night was about to fall, so Suyu was too lazy to continue fishing. After all, the high-grade treasure chests that could be fished up had basically been fished up by Suyu during the day. At night, he had to give the treasure chest some time to respawn. After a few days of exploration, Suyu had already figured out the pattern. However, there were still many low-grade treasure chests around the island. It was just that Suyu did not want them. Just as Suyu was about to eat the first mouthful of hot roasted meat, a sudden situation suddenly interrupted Suyu's meal. Master, we found something. At this time, the shouts of two mermen came from the shoreline. Upon hearing this shout, Suyu held the roasted meat in his hand and jogged in the direction of their voices. With the help of the sky that had yet to completely darken, Suyu saw clearly what was floating in front of the two mermen. What's going on? Suyu's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw the body of a sea monkey floating on the water. Master, this thing suddenly appeared from the sea when the two of us were eating. It attacked us the moment it appeared and was killed by the two of us. Hearing Suyu's question, one of the mermen quickly replied. Could it be that sea monkey really teleported over from another place? Hearing the merman's reply, Suyu looked at the sea monkey's body that had been torn into two and fell into deep thought. Be careful underwater. If there are any abnormalities, climb up the island as fast as you can. After thinking for a while, Suyu could not come up with a good solution to this situation for the time being. He could only deal with them as they come. Anyway, the upgrade of the man-eating flower required the body of the sea monkey. Bring this thing over to the island and throw it at the root of the man-eating flower over there. With the principle of not wasting, Suyu instructed the two mermen and directly took the roasted meat back. At this moment, the few goblins who had also heard the commotion saw their two brothers in the sea throw the monster's body onto the shore and immediately jogged over to take on the work of the two mermen. These goblins still knew to take this bit of initiative. Chapter 47. 47 Unexpected Situation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 47 Unexpected Situation. Ignoring the goblin's movements of the Suyu returned to the fire and sat down. Then, he picked up the roasted meat in his hand and started feasting on it. After eating a few caddies of meat at once, Suyu felt that he had to pay attention to whether there was any high-calorie food inside the treasure chests. Otherwise, Suyu's cheeks would hurt from constantly chewing on normal food. Burp. After Suyu finished the roasted meat, he drank a mouthful of Sprite to wash away the grease and burped heavily. Ding. Night is about to fall. At nightfall, the temperature will continue to drop. Please be careful to keep warm. Suyu had automatically filtered out the notifications that sounded every day at this time. However, after this notification, another notification sounded, almost making Suyu jump up. Ding! Survivors of the Cerulean planet, please pay attention. Due to the destruction of a low-level martial world, 300 humans from this low-level martial world will be added to each novice area of the Cerulean planet. Please check your respective screens for detailed information. F***ck. Suyu couldn't care less about sleeping anymore. Information about the low-level martial world, description. In this low-level martial world, there are internal martial arts practitioners who cultivate internal qi, as well as some external martial arts practitioners. However, there are relatively few of them. Most of them are still ordinary humans and have all been implanted with the ability to speak in the common language. Note: the island they own might appear beside your island at any time. Please note that the other party is not friendly. If you want to make friends, you can try to win them over with your charm. F***ck, isn't the novice protection period still in effect? Why are all these things happening? After looking at the information on the screen in front of him, Suyu felt a headache coming on. Couldn't they let him develop steadily? Then, Suyu clicked into the communication channel to see how the others were doing. If you want me to die, just kill me. I'm not like Liu Bang and the others. How can I rely on my charm to conquer the ancient people of the low-level martial world? Try and I might die. Everyone, don't be anxious. Not everyone in that world is an expert who knows internal martial arts. Most of them should still be ordinary people. Compared to us, they have less knowledge and aren't as advantageous as us. Perhaps if we really encounter them, we can use food to take one or two of them as subordinates. Bro, what you said makes sense. As long as we don't encounter those powerful martial artists, we can still defeat them. After glancing at the messages in the communication channel, Suyu did not say anything else and directly left. Just as Suyu was thinking, the voices of the two mermen made Suyu shiver. Master, there's an abnormality near your island. 200 meters southeast, there's a small island that appeared out of thin air. Upon hearing the merman's words, Suyu rushed to the shoreline. With the help of the solar lamp on the island, Suyu could vaguely see the outline of a small island to the southeast. I can't be so unlucky. The first human I met in the alternate world couldn't possibly be a martial arts expert. Looking at the island that was faintly discernible in the darkness, Suyu felt a headache coming on. This must be some sort of plan to not let him sleep peacefully. After thinking about it, Suyu formed a plan in his heart. At this moment, Suyu was prepared to sneak over and take a look. Anyway, if he saw someone from afar with his insight skill, Suyu could completely confirm whether or not they were a threat to him. Otherwise, Suyu would not be in the mood to sleep at night if he let such a fellow with unknown background to stay close to his island. Skeleton 1, bring 3 broadsword skeletons over. Suyu prepared to set off and shouted in a deep voice in the direction of the villa. The broadsword skeleton who had been appointed by Suyu as the captain, immediately led the 3 skeletons towards Suyu. Merman 1, Merman 2, each of you take 2. After looking at the broadsword skeletons in front of him, Suyu gave instructions to the 2 mermen in the water. Understood. Merman 1 and Merman 2 quickly nodded after receiving the order. Jump down. Suyu pointed at the sea and ordered the skeletons. Plop, plop. The broadsword skeletons jumped down without any hesitation after receiving the order. If not for the mermen in the water, the density of the broadsword skeleton's bones would have caused them to sink to the bottom of the sea. Soon, 2 broadsword skeletons were lying on the backs of each merman. As for Suyu himself, he dived into the water. Although the seawater at night was bone-chilling, Suyu was wearing the special cold-resistant suit and had a physique of more than 8 points, so he did not feel very cold. He only felt that the water was a little cold. Let's go. After saying this, Suyu dived into the water. Following this, the 2 mermen carried the broadsword skeletons on their backs and dived into the water, swimming towards the small island that had suddenly appeared. At the same time, on the small island that suddenly appeared around Suyu's island, there was a middle-aged man with a full beard and a 9-ring broadsword in his hand. His face was slightly ferocious. However, at this moment, this guy was kneeling on the ground and kowtowing non-stop. Then, he muttered softly, "God, please spare me. God, please spare me." I have an 80-year-old mother and a 3-year-old child waiting to be fed. Please let me leave this godforsaken place." After realizing that his prayers were useless, the middle-aged man stood up and cursed, "I'm telling you to quickly send me back. Otherwise, my brothers from the Raging Tiger Troop are not to be trifled with." At this moment, this guy was clearly still a little confused. He had yet to figure out what was going on. While this person was praying for help, a few heads appeared on the sea around this person's island. A mere 200 meters was too little of a distance for Suyu and the two mermen. With the help of the moonlight, Suyu saw the person on the island at a glance. Human, name. Lu Biao, strength 3+2, physique 3.5+3, spirit. Weapons 9. Ring broadsword. Cultivation technique. Small accomplishment on iron clothing technique. Note: additional stats of iron clothing technique in parentheses. Martial arts. Great accomplishment on the 5 Tigers Gate breaking saber technique. Overall combat strength. Ordinary rank 5, ordinary rank 7. Personality. Vicious, murderous, a turncoat. Not easy to control. Best course of action is to kill. Now that he saw the detailed information about the person on the island in front of him, Suyu could not help but be secretly shocked. His luck was truly unparalleled. The first person he met was a martial artist. Chapter 48. 48 Nipping trouble in the bud. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 48 Nipping trouble in the bud. Merman 1 and Merman 2, send Skeleton 1 and the rest to the island. At this moment, a trace of ruthlessness flashed in Suyu's eyes. In the face of such an uncontrollable potential threat, Suyu would rather strike first than be killed. Suyu did not care at all about the morality of killing a human from the other world with whom he had no enmity. This was because this place was no longer a civilized society. Only the law of the strong would get strong and the weak would get weaker existed. Being weak was the original sin. Skeleton 1, after arriving on the island, make sure to kill the other party as quickly as possible. Do you understand? Suyu looked at Skeleton 1 on Merman 1's back and instructed in a quiet voice. In response, the soul fire in Skeleton 1's skull flickered slightly. Then, he nodded mechanically to show that he understood. Soon, the two mermen sent the 4 broadsword skeletons to the island where Lu Biao was. Naturally, this commotion could not be hidden from Lu Biao. After all, the small island was only so big. It was impossible not to attract his attention. F***ck, what kind of monster are these? With the help of the moonlight in the sky, Lu Biao felt a bone-piercing chill sweep through his head when he saw the skeletons flickering with white flames inside their skulls on the island. In response, Skeleton 1 held the 100-forged Yenling saber that Suyu had given it in his hand and attacked Lu Biao. As for the other 3 broadsword skeletons, they were slightly slower. Seeing this, Lu Biao felt his entire body turn cold. Fortunately, the ruthlessness in Lu Biao's body finally surpassed the fear in his mind at the critical moment. Lu Biao raised his 9-ring broadsword to block the blade that was about to slash his body. With a clang, the 100-forged Yenling saber in Skeleton 1's hand collided with the 9-ring broadsword in Lu Biao's hand. Before Lu Biao could rejoice that he had blocked the other party's saber, a shocking scene happened. At this moment, the 9-ring broadsword in his hand actually broke. That's right, the place where it collided with the other party's weapon just now broke from the middle. It was precisely because he was distracted that Lu Biao died on the spot. This was because Skeleton 1 was not affected at all. When he realized that the other party had blocked his saber, he was a little stunned. Skeleton 1 directly released his chaotic cape saber technique at an extremely fast speed and beheaded Lu Biao. After killing the other party, Skeleton 1 reached out to pick up the other party's head and placed it in front of his skull. Then, white gas continuously surged from Lu Biao's head towards the soul fire to Skeleton 1's skull. After Su Yu discovered that the other party had been killed by Skeleton 1 in the water, he also jumped onto the island. He's absorbing soul power. Su Yu, who had just landed on the island, saw Skeleton 1's actions. Thinking of this, Su Yu glanced at Skeleton 1's current attributes. Undead Broadsword Skeleton, Strength. Physique. Spirit. Weapons. 100 Forged Yenling Saber Skill. Chaotic Cape Saber Technique. Overall Combat Rating. Ordinary Rank 8, Black Iron Rank 0. After Skeleton 1 stopped his absorption, Su Yu realized that Skeleton 1's attributes had all increased by a little. Even its basic combat strength had increased by a level. Even its bones seemed to have become more lustrous than before. Ding! You have successfully killed the master of this island. This island will become an abandoned island. Do you want to generate the heart of the island? Generate. Just as Su Yu finished looking at Skeleton 1's attributes, another notification sounded in his ear. Su Yu did not hesitate at all. Soon after Su Yu chose to generate the heart of the island, Su Yu saw that in the center of the island nearby, streams of yellow light were constantly condensing. Finally, a crystal-like, pale yellow heart of the island appeared. Seeing this, Su Yu was not in a hurry to retrieve the heart of the island. Instead, he instructed Skeleton 1 to regroup with Merman 1 and Merman 2 first. After the broadsword skeletons entered the water and returned to the merman's back, Su Yu reached out to pick up the heart of the island. At this moment, it had already fallen to the ground. After picking it up, Su Yu rushed to the shoreline at record speed and jumped into the water. When Su Yu and the others swam back to their own island, the uninhabited island that had been fine a moment ago broke apart and sank into the sea. Ding! Do you want to integrate the level 1 heart of the island into your island? Yes. After returning to the island, Su Yu directly used the item. Therefore, in the next second, Su Yu's island area directly expanded to 506 square meter, which was about 22.5 meters * 22.5 meters. Phew! After resolving a safety hazard, Su Yu heaved a long sigh of relief. Be more vigilant at night. Report to me if there are any abnormal movements. Su Yu looked at Merman 1 and Merman 2 in the water and the 4 goblins on the shore. Understood, Master. Merman 1, Merman 2, and the 4 goblins answered enthusiastically. After giving his instructions, Su Yu quickly walked towards the villa. After changing his clothes, Su Yu lay on the king-sized Simmons bed. He had trouble falling asleep. Su Yu couldn't help but to check the communication channel again. It's over. Big shots, save me. An island has appeared not far from my island. Holy shit. Holy shit. I see someone floating across the water toward me. Bro, are you alright? If you're still alive, let me know. Bro, I'm still alive, but my rank has been reduced to a prisoner. Damn it, a middle-aged nun slapped me to the ground and asked me what this place is. Bro, don't tell me you met Abbess Miju 1 or some South Sea nun too. You must have watched too many television dramas. How can there be such a coincidence? There are actually so many people who have encountered the islands of the people from the low-level martial world. Moreover, there's someone who can walk on the waves on the sea. Could it be that that guy's luck is so bad that he has encountered the top experts of this low-level martial world? After flipping through the chat records in the communication channel, Su Yu immediately made some conjectures. In addition, Su Yu realized that the so-called 7-day novice protection period seemed to be useless. When Su Yu sent Skeleton 1 to kill Lu Biao, he did not receive any notification saying that he could only take action after the protection period had ended. At this moment, a thought popped up in Su Yu's mind. Could this be a hidden rule that encourages the masters of each island to kill each other and fight over the heart of the island? Chapter 49. 49 Obtain more firearms. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 49 Obtain more firearms. Suyu, who had yet to figure out if there were really any hidden rules, looked at the light screen in front of him. At this moment, Suyu was more concerned about the survivor who had just said that someone was walking on the waves on the sea and slapped him to the ground. At this moment, this person quickly left a message in the communication channel. Bro, I think I'm going to die. This old nun isn't a good person. She said that she's from the demon sect. F***ck, bro, hold on. Try and see if you can stall her. Staying alive is the most important. That's right, that's right. Make up a story and see if you can fool her first. At this moment, Wu Qian, who was curled up on the ground on his island, felt a chill in his heart. This was because an old nun with a sinister expression was standing in front of him. Tell me what this place is. Tell me and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead. Wu Qian, who was curled up on the ground, realized that the old nun was stepping harder on his head as she spoke. He hurriedly cried out in pain, Abbess, spare my life. Please spare my life. I'll talk, I'll talk. Upon hearing this, the nun, who was originally the right-hand guardian of the demonic sect in the low-level martial world, slowly moved her feet away, giving Wu Qian a chance to catch his breath. Abbess, I actually don't know much. I only know that all the living supplies in this place have to be fished up from the treasure chest in the sea. Then, I have to open the treasure chest and obtain food, fresh water, and other things to use for survival. By the way, every novice will be given a fishing rod and 10 portions of bait. I wonder if you've received them, Abbess. Wu Qian, who had been given a chance to catch his breath, carefully explained the basic information. At this moment, a lot of questions arose in the abbess' heart. Could this be the trick of an immortal? This was because Abbess Bude had also seen the light screen panel in front of her. However, unlike the people from the Cerulean planet, Abbess Bude, who was from a low-level martial world, had not developed any skills. Didn't you say 10 sets of bait? Why do I only have 5 sets? Suddenly, Abbess Bude's expression turned ugly. To be able to become a guardian of the demon cult in the low-level martial world, Abbess Bude was naturally not an idiot. After such a long time, Abbess Bude had slowly calmed down and analyzed her current situation. Combined with the information given on the light screen, the Abbess Bude was very clear about what was needed to survive in this damned place. What do you mean you have 5 sets? That's not right. I got 10 sets. Wu Qian shouted when he heard the Abbess Bude. Cut the crap. Hand over all the bait you have. At this moment, Abbess Bude, who had already understood the importance of the bait, directly stepped on Wu Qian's head again. F***ck, what a b***tch. Wu Qian, who had his head stomped into the ground again, cursed angrily in his heart. Abbess, please spare my life. I've already used up the bait I own. However, I can still get a set of bait every day, so don't kill me. I'm still useful. Realizing that his head was about to explode from the other party's foot, Wu Qian hurriedly said with difficulty. Trash, scram to the side. Upon hearing this, Abbess Bude slightly relaxed the strength in her foot. Then, she directly kicked Wu Qian in the stomach. Good lord, this kick almost knocked Wu Qian unconscious. Then, the Abbess Bude ignored Wu Qian, who was curled up on the ground. She took the fishing rod she had received and quickly walked to the shoreline to try fishing. Abbess Bude didn't kill Wu Qian directly as she felt that this fellow still had some use. In any case, in Abbess Bude's opinion, this piece of trash lying on the ground couldn't even defeat those farmers who knew how to do farmer-style martial arts in her original world. He really wasn't a threat at all. It was better to keep him for bait. At this moment, Wu Qian quietly complained in the communication channel. Bro, I've survived for now. However, I'm afraid my life will be worse than death in the future. I hope that some big shot can save my life in the future. F***ck, God bless me. I hope there won't be a martial arts expert appearing beside my island. Please just be an ordinary person. I hope nothing will appear. Let me pass the novice period safely first. At this moment, Su-yu, who was lying on the Simmons bed in the small villa, saw the message sent by the brother who had been captured by the people of the low-level martial world. His eyes flickered. At this moment, Su-yu, who had already exited the communication channel, could not help but think like this. Normal firearms should be able to pose a threat to the experts of the low-level martial world if I fire it at a close range. This won't do. I have to arm the goblins too. At the thought that the other party could walk on the sea, Su-yu couldn't fall asleep. After thinking about it, Su-yu immediately rose from the bed. Then, he carried the fishing rod out of the villa and arrived at the shoreline. It had to be said that Su-yu had overestimated Abyss Bude. The reason why Abyss Bude could walk on the sea was because Wu Qian's island was really very close to Abyss Bude's island. They were only about 20 meters apart. If it had been more than 100 meters away, with Abyss Bude's strength, she would still have to swim over. Ordinary wooden treasure chest, description. It contains an ordinary spear. Ordinary wooden treasure chest, description. It contains a box of Maotai wine. Ordinary wooden treasure chest, description. It contains a Desert Eagle pistol, and 8 bullets. I'll take you. Su-yu, who had been looking for firearms, finally found a wooden treasure chest that contained firearms. Therefore, after setting up the bait and casting the net in the area, Su-yu directly instructed the 4 goblins to watch over it. Then, he began to search busily. After a busy night and with the help of his double happiness skill, Su-yu finally obtained 4 pistols and hundreds of bullets. At this moment, Su-yu felt that the most lethal firearms in the wooden treasure chest should be pistols. In any case, Su-yu had not seen any high-level sniper rifles, RPGs-1, or Fire God Gatling guns. As for the high-grade wooden treasure chests, Su-yu had not encountered many of them. Therefore, Su-yu was not sure if these high-grade firearms could be obtained. Goblin 1 and the few of you, come here. Su-yu, who was holding a few pistols, shouted at the goblins. Chapter 50. 50 Black Iron Bait. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 50 Black Iron Bait. The 4 goblins, who had also pulled the simple fishing net for half the night, immediately ran towards Su-yu with their short legs after hearing his voice. Master, what can we do for you? Take one of these pistols and follow me. Su-yu glanced at the 4 goblins standing upright in front of him and handed over the 4 pistols in his hand to them. After distributing the pistols, Su-yu walked towards the target that had been set up with wood. Watch carefully and observe how I use the pistol. Later, each of you will shoot 15 bullets each. Practice your aim well. Su-yu stood at a distance of 10 meters away from the target and instructed the 4 goblins. The 4 goblins quickly nodded to show that they understood. After that, Su-yu demonstrated a series of actions such as releasing the safety of the pistol, pulling the trigger, changing the bullets, and so on. After demonstrating once, Su-yu moved back and gave his position to the goblins. Soon, the first person to go on stage was the goblin Su-yu had named Goblin 1. At this moment, he recalled his master's series of actions just now. He raised his gun, aimed at the target and directly fired his first shot. It had to be said that the goblin's skills in firearms were much stronger than ordinary humans. With the first shot, Goblin 1 hit the target. Although he did not hit bullseye, it still hit pretty close. Alright, you should all practice well. I hope to see your improvement tomorrow morning. After seeing that Goblin 1 had successfully fired the first shot, Su-yu prepared to go back to catch up on his sleep. Understood, Master. I won't disappoint you. When the goblins heard Su-yu's words, they immediately slapped their chests and made their promises. As Su-yu returned to the small villa, the 4 goblins felt as excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. It could not be helped. They were now finally valued by their master. They had to practice well no matter what. After all, there were more and more big brothers on the island. If they did not show their value, Goblin 1 and the others were afraid that they would be abandoned by their master. At the thought of this, the goblins focused on practicing. Every time they finished firing a shot, they would stop and evaluate if they had made a mistake. Then, they would fire the next shot. The level of seriousness of their practice was much more meticulous than Su Yu's. As for Su Yu himself, after staring at the sea for most of the night, his eyes felt a little sore. At this moment, he was sleeping on the bed with his earmuffs on. The night passed uneventfully. Other than the occasional sound of gunshots on the island, nothing else happened in the latter half of the night. When the night broke and the sky lit up again, Su Yu got up and stretched his muscles. After washing up, Su Yu ate some bread and meat for breakfast, drank a large bottle of milk, and slowly walked out of the door of the small villa. At this moment, the 4 goblins on Su Yu's island were standing at the entrance of the villa like guards. They must have been waiting at the door without sleeping the entire night after they were done practicing. From the looks of it, you guys must have practiced quite well. Let's go and let me take a look, said Su Yu in a deep voice as he glanced at the 4 goblins who were standing upright. Upon hearing this, the goblins could not help but reveal their excitement on their faces. They were eager to show off. Soon, Su Yu walked back to the target that he had erected last night. Goblin 1, you can go first, said Su Yu as he looked at the goblins beside him. Goblin 1 quickly walked to a spot about 10 meters away from the target. Then, he focused and fired his first shot. Bang! With the sound of a gunshot, a bullet hole appeared in the center of the simple wooden target made by the goblins. Not bad. Next. Su Yu could not help but smile when he saw that Goblin 1's shot had hit the bullseye. Then, Su Yu waved his hand, indicating for the next goblin to go on. Bang, bang, bang. Subsequently, Goblin 2, Goblin 3, and Goblin 4 used their actions to prove that they had practiced very hard last night. The 4 goblins each fired 1 shot, making a total of 4 shots. All of them hit the bullseye, and thus met Su Yu's expectations of them. Alright, you can leave. I'll call you if there's anything. After testing the accuracy of the goblins' marksmanship, Su Yu prepared to start fishing today. Ding! Please quickly receive today's bait reward. When Su Yu reached the shoreline, the daily reward notification sounded. Receive. After saying so, Su Yu directly threw the 20 sets of ordinary bait aside. There is a ordinary wooden treasure chest 5 meters below the surface of the sea. It contains 2 black iron baits. I'm so lucky today. Is this what it means by a good start? Su Yu was sweeping his gaze across the sea when his attention was suddenly drawn to a treasure chest. This was the first time Su Yu had seen this item, and it was something he especially wanted. Go. At this moment, Su Yu quickly baited the hook with an improved bait. Then, he accurately threw the hook to the area where the treasure chest that contained the black iron bait was. However, this time, Su Yu waited for longer than usual. It took almost 20 minutes for the wooden treasure chest that contained the black iron bait to actually take the bait. Whoosh! Seeing that the float was sinking, Su Yu immediately pulled the fishing rod. The wooden treasure chest under the water sensed that something was wrong and wanted to slip away, but it was already too late. Under Su Yu's brute force, the struggle of the wooden treasure chest was futile. L.RG After all, Su Yu was standing on the island. Combined with the additional stats that he gained by being on his own island, his strength stats had almost exceeded 15 points. He was definitely a Tyrannosaurus in human form. Su Yu reached out and touched the treasure chest that had been pulled up the ashore. Ding! Your double happiness skill has been triggered automatically. You have obtained 2 sets of black iron bait *2. Black iron bait, description. Can be used to fish to black iron treasure chests. Bait formula. Low grade energy stone *1, black iron treasure chest fragment *1, note. Starting from the black iron treasure chest, the star rating of the treasure chest is no longer classified by half a star. The ingredients for the baits are getting more and more complicated. Looking at the ingredients for the black iron bait, Suyu suddenly felt a headache. This was because he did not have any of those items for the time being. Forget it. For now, let's look for a black iron treasure chest to try my luck. After shaking off the thought in his mind, Suyu looked around at the shoreline. The result. After strolling around, Suyu couldn't find traces of any black iron treasure chest.